Cut my life into pieces, Replica Last Resort. Chevrons for low-lifing, hit with fire, cord and lightning. Replica Last Resort.
Alright, what's up guys? I am so sorry about the intro. That was so bad, but hey, I committed and I'll do better next time. I'm just going to run through quickly what the mechanics of this build are. Everything will be in Path of Building completely up to date anyways, but I'm just going to explain what's going on so you understand how I'm doing what I'm doing and why. So first of all, our main weapon, Replica Last Resort. The whole point of this entire build, deal no damage when not on low life. So of course, we have to be on low life. How are we achieving that? We run 6 different auras, and 2 of them reserve our life. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So after it all, we have over 8,000 energy shield, 29 life. Forget about that 29 life. If you ever run out of energy shield, you're freaking dead. But and of course, we have to run chevrons so that chaos damage doesn't bypass our energy shield. There is another way to do this build entirely using a new belt that allows you to be on low life while cursed with vulnerability. You can pair that with a Watcher's Eye that makes you unaffected by vulnerability, and you can be on permanent low life using a life build rather than using an energy shield build. That allows you to probably build more armor and have higher physical damage reduction than doing this build. So if someone wants to give that a shot, please do and let me know how it goes. I won't really get into how that's all gonna work. You can figure that out. Maybe I'll try it next league. We'll see. So basically, the way that this works is that this claw has horrible base physical damage. Horrible. It wouldn't work for pretty much any attack skill except for elemental hit, which does not care about your physical attack damage. So we're getting, increased damage with claws, 200%, and we're getting increased attack speed because we're always on low life. So that, and the accuracy is nice too. It's quality of life. So it increases our elemental hit damage quite a lot. The other way we scale this damage is with crits. We have a lot of crit multi in our tree. I think it's over 700% crit multi. So that's another way we're doing our damage. And yeah, we also scale damage using our Warchief totems for bosses and Berserk. Whenever we get scared, we pop this, we take less damage, and we deal a heck of a lot more damage. So this is really good for bosses as well. The defenses of this build pretty much just come from the auras. We don't need auras to increase our damage. In fact, no auras really do increase our damage. We're going triple hit, elemental hit, so there's not really any auras that are gonna specifically help out that. So we just use all of our auras for defenses. So we've got Dread Banner to reduce the accuracy of people near us. We have Precision just for crit chance. Okay, I guess we have one that's not for defense. We're using Discipline. We're using Aspect of the Spider. I have it on my gloves. You can get it wherever. It's also just quite nice. Slows people around you and increases their damage. We're running Arctic Armor, and we're running Flesh and Stone to blind people around us, take less damage, all that good stuff. So that's where our defenses come from. We also have Fortify and Endurance Charge. And I'll explain how we get that a little bit later. Fortify is just in our main Gemlink setup. If you want to look at that, you can look on Path of Building. Other really important things you need for this build. I personally think it's necessary to have the Berserk enchant on your helmet. It's pretty necessary so that your Berserk lasts a really long time. Whether you're doing, in this case, we were doing rituals. Sometimes you would need your Berserk to last the remainder of the ritual, and it would if you're using this helmet enchant. The next thing is by far the most important. I do not think you can do this build without this. So the alternate quality enchantment on this is +1 weapon range per 10% quality. 100% necessary because claws feel like you're punching people. If you increase the weapon range by 2 on each weapon, it feels so much better. You cannot do this build without it. It now officially feels a little bit actually ranged, and your clear speed for this build is really fast. So yeah, this build has fast clear speed. It can pretty much do almost any mod except no-leech. It does everything else. Like, it's immune to reflect, any deadly mods, you don't care, minus resist, none of that matters. Just no-leech, you want to avoid. Everything else is fine. It's insane. And you also need strike targets, strike skills, attack an additional nearby target. You can either get this on your gloves, which is ideal. I believe it's on Warlords. You get to attack 2 additional targets, up to 2. That would be ideal. I wasn't able to get that, so because I was lazy. So I just anointed it on my amulet, Tribal Fury. But if you're able to get that on your gloves, you could probably increase your damage by another 1,000,000 Shaper DPS just by anointing something else. So you might want to look into that because it's really sick. If you can, corrupt your claws to get a cool implicit. Not a lot of these go on the market because everyone's like, why would anyone want to buy these? So you might have trouble doing that. We've got plus to level of socketed projectile gems on our implicit here. That works for elemental hit even though we're using it as a melee skill. It still gets the +2 because it's still a projectile skill. It has that skill tag. So technically, this could be better if we had AoE and projectile on the same armor. We could have another +2 levels, and then this build would be like S tier. I swear to God, we would just one-shot everything in the game. It's crazy. On our rings, we have Cursed Enemy with Elemental Weakness, and trigger Assassin's Mark when we hit a rare or unique enemy. In our tree, we have this node so we can apply a second curse. That's how that works. And we're using Cluster Jewels. The important one is this one. If you chilled, ignited, or shocked an enemy recently, we crit a lot. And so this is pretty much happening all the time. This basically just gives us all of that increased damage whenever we're doing this. It's also important to get this one. So this gives us cold, fire, and lightning exposure while we're hitting stuff. And it's super important, especially for bosses, to reduce those resistances. We have energy shield coming in here and just crit and extra damage things here. The way we get endurance charges is this beautiful armor. Cluster Jewel. Gain 1 endurance charge every second if you've been hit recently. It's like the freest way to get endurance charges. I mean, come on. It's pretty insane. We've got Energy Shield Leech right here. We take Ghost Reaver to get Energy Shield Leech from our claws, which we get a lot from because they're awesome. And our jewels, we try and get as many jewels as possible. We've gone Scion with Berserker as one of the halves, and Elementalist as the other. I should have explained that. That's how we're getting Rage, by the way. Elementalist is the other one, so we've got Golems. I'm not using Golems. We're not using Golems. We have Exposure, and we can't be taking reflected elemental damage. The extra Exposure and the Shock is really, really nice. We don't even care about the path part. The path part doesn't matter. We pretty much just start from here and go. But yes, every jewel socket is super important. We just get as much crit multi as possible. And this isn't actually as expensive as it looks, because most skills wouldn't want crit multi to lightning and cold. Pretty much only this one does, kind of. So it's actually not that expensive. This one cost me my liver, but I mean, I didn't need it anyways. This is a lot of crit multi, and this is like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. But this is how we're getting so much crit multi. We take a lot of jewel sockets and then try and grab as much crit multi on them as we can. Of course, we have a Watcher's Eye, and the Watcher's Eye gives us energy shield gained for each enemy hit while you have Discipline. That is pretty useful for more sustain if we didn't have enough already. And yeah, that's pretty much the passive tree. I think I've pretty much explained everything that this build works on. You just try and get as much energy shield as possible to survive being low life. You have crazy amounts of leech because you're using claws, and you have access to it. You have the energy shield gain on hit from the Watcher's Eye, and we're running a bunch of auras for more defenses. So this build ends up being quite tanky. It can run every single map mod, it can do every single boss, and it does loads of damage. And you can check on Path of Building as well. I do have all the flasks checked on, because when you're fighting a boss, you should be putting on every single flask. You should be putting down your war chiefs, and you know, when you do have the rage built up, you should be proccing Berserk. That is how you're going to be doing incredible amount of damage to bosses. So that is the reason I have all those boxes checked. And if you have any questions, of course, come find me on Twitch. This build started as a meme, but it was so much fun, and I might even try and figure out how to do a live version of it next league. But if you like this build and want to see more like it, then please come to my Twitch, twitch.tv/landthepandas, and come hang out. I like to make really fun builds. I make all of my builds, and they are all off meta. So yeah, any questions, come ask. Path of Building is out. I don't really expect many people to do this build, but I think it was a really fun project. And honestly, getting all the items was such a freaking hassle. You know, balancing your resistances for the Wise Oak, making sure they're all the same number. It's such a freaking hassle, but this build ended up absolutely perfect, and it helped me get 36 challenges done. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I will see you guys later.
Here's some bamboo, you're one of us. There's so much to do in the land of pandas.